Hey, you guys. As promised and as announced, I wanted to come on today and talk with you about something that I'm just feeling really inspired by today and something that I talk about a lot. And so if any of you are checking in on this video later on because you couldn't be with me live today, then I would love to hear your comments and read your comments on where you're at and how this serves you um, and how you feel inspired by it and all those sorts of things. So I'll be asking you some questions at the end. But if you love what you're hearing, I'd love for your hearts. I'd love to see your thumbs up. Just engage. I love having these chats with you. This is a really great way for you to get to know me and to hear what I'm all about. And it's just a much more intimate way for us to be together and be a part of this community. So I just wanted to talk today about the 3 sure steps to find your gateway to inner happiness, as the title of this video says. And so a big part of that comes from the idea of setting goals. So usually when we set a goal, it's because we think that achieving that thing is what's going to make us happy. And once we get that thing, we will have the happiness that we are aspiring to achieve. And so it ends up putting us in a place where we're chasing. And when I think about what my life used to be like, I chased happiness for a very, very, very long time. I depended on the other people in my life for my sense of happiness and security. I depended on external things. So if I could just have my body look this particular way, then I would surely finally be happy and at peace in my body and my mind. If I could just go away on this vacation, I know that, I would be able to relieve the stress and I would be happy. And so those things would give me a very short-term sense of happiness and fulfillment. But as soon as you go back to everyday living and the reality of life and what that brings, and we all have stress in our lives that come from our work, from family, from friends, from whatever it is that we take our stress from, it exists. And so once we get what it is that we think will give us happiness that is external to us, we have that feeling for a short period of time, but then eventually we go back to that same feeling of wanting because we haven't really achieved what it is that we sought out to find. So these are the steps that created a super massive shift for me. There's 3 of them. So the first one is rather than determining what it is that you think you need to do in order to be happy. So rather than thinking about your goal, so let's say your goal is to lose 10 pounds. Let's say your goal is to eat healthier. Let's say your goal is to stop eating sugar. Instead of finding a concrete thing, hi Sally, nice to see you and welcome to the group. Let me know if you're loving this. Give me a thumbs up or a heart. And let me know how this is serving you as we move on in our discussion today. And hi, Natalie. So the first step, like I said, rather than thinking about a concrete goal, hi, Jessie, think about how you want to feel. So determine what it is that you most want to feel, and then reverse engineer from there. And what I mean by that is if happiness is what it is that you truly aspire to, then you visualize what life looks like for you. Visualize yourself in that space, feeling exactly what you want to feel, and reverse engineer. And so the best way to reverse engineer is to commit to actions that will take you closer to how you want to feel. and then you live inspired by that. And what I mean by that, so, for me, being more present in my life and in all of the moments in my life. And I'm sorry, I'm just going to turn my volume on my phone off because I don't want you to be hearing dingings. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. So, being more present in my life in everyday moments and is something that when I moved from my home of 43 years to the home of my bucket list dreams and the bucket list dreams of my husband, I really started to realize something about myself in that I was so distracted and so caught up in chasing peace and happiness that I wasn't able to be really truly present in moments in my life. And I felt like I missed out on a lot because I actually forgot about all of the awesome things that I was experiencing because my mind was somewhere else, whether that be in a conversation or visiting with a dear friend. And then I chose actions that allowed me to be more present. I chose actions that allowed me to create more happiness and groundedness and mindfulness in my life. And then I lived inspired by that. And so I determined what I felt like I needed, and I looked to people who lived inspired action on their day-to-day basis and had internal peace and happiness and weren't chasing it. And then the third thing is to practice daily gratitude. And so part of what I set out to do last year was to do a 365 days of gratitude. And I posted every single day from January 1st all the way to December 31st of 2016 on Instagram with a photo. No matter how small it was, I ended every single day thinking about one thing that I was so grateful for. It allowed me to really stay present in my day because I was seeking for, and it just became a habit to be seeking for things that I was very grateful for. And by the end of 2016, I felt more present in my life and more able to enjoy the moment by moment things because I was able to find the simple gratitudes and the large gratitudes too for the things that I was experiencing in everyday life. And so those are the 3 steps: how you want to feel, reverse engineer from there, commit to actions that will take you closer to how you want to feel, and live inspired by that. And 3, practice daily gratitude. And then be inspired by your own or others' daily action. So, as I said, moving, among other things that I've learned about myself since moving and leaving my community and my 43-year tribe, you're able to really discover things about yourself that perhaps you would never have discovered had you been able to be distracted by having access to this massive community. And so leaving my community, as much as it was hard, I found amazing benefits in my life and looked at what I had to take from that in terms of what I was grateful for in creating new community and the opportunities to do that, and how I could still nurture my community back home and feel connected to them. And so in doing the 365 days of gratitude, I learned so many things. And I encourage anyone who is feeling like they're chasing happiness, feeling like they don't have peace and inner peace, and they don't really know the first place to start just determining what it is that you want to feel and practicing daily gratitude. we can find gratitude in the smallest things, just even how the air feels on that particular day, that the sun is shining. And so that is one super amazing way that I was able to increase my inner happiness and peace and become present. The other thing, and this kind of goes hand in hand with looking at inspired action of others or feeling inspired by others. If any of you followed my 365 days of gratitude posts, you will know that my very dear friend Joanne Shu was in my posts of daily gratitude very often because I was incredibly inspired and moved by her. And so I just wanted to share a little bit about her story with you and see how it relates to, I guess, using those 3 steps in terms of finding your gateway to true inner happiness. And something that you will have with you forever rather than something that there's a risk of it going away. And so my friend Joanne, when I first met her, I knew she was simply just batshit crazy. But what I learned as we spent more time together was that she was super goal-driven, like me, and we'd very much had that in common. She shared a story with me a few months after I met her that she had once been very heavy, and that she was overweight. But what I found most about her story that I really felt resonated most with the feeling and emotion that she was sharing that story with me in was how she felt when she was overweight, and how the way she felt is actually truly what motivated her to make change. Because we can be a certain weight on the scale, and our body may look and feel a particular way in our clothing that we don't desire. But until we truly feel done with the deprivating emotions and the sadness and the hurt and the struggle, when we're done with those emotions is when we are truly ready for change. That's when we really commit. That's when we really show up for ourselves. And so she said that she was very heavy, but more than that, she was extremely depressed and she was turning to food. And it just fed her feeling of not being deserving. It fed her feeling of being sad. It fed her feeling of being disappointed or embarrassed about herself. And one day she just decided, no more. I'm done with this. I don't want to feel like this anymore. I don't want to look like this anymore. And so she actually had a friend who was a runner, and she became inquisitive, and so she sought out a running community. And slowly but surely, she started to go out on little jogs, and she started to feel how amazing she felt after her runs. Maybe during the runs she didn't feel so awesome, but after the runs, the adrenaline that she had, she really found that to keep her moving and keep her motivated. Have a good sleep, Sally. Well, you can finish watching this tomorrow when you wake up. And hi, Laura. And so she started with little runs, and then eventually she signed up for her first 5K. Then she signed up for a 10K. And eventually she signed up for her first half marathon. And after that, full marathons. She did full marathons for quite some time and then found that she really wanted to challenge herself and her body even more. And so she became interested in doing triathlons. But one major way that she stayed inspired for all of those days and during all of that time, and all of the times that she felt were really hard and that she wanted to give up because the struggle was insurmountable on that particular day, is she had a picture of herself, which she would say was at her heaviest, and the picture that she had seen of herself that really led her to just say, no more, I'm done. and she posted it on her fridge, but she also carried a copy of it with her wherever she went. And I think that that picture for her became less about how she looked and how much she weighed in that picture, and it was more about never wanting to feel as hopeless and helpless and powerless over her emotions ever again. And that was her motivator. That's what kept her super inspired. And one day, she decided, after doing all these triathlons, that she was totally committing to doing an Ironman. But she was afraid of doing the full Ironman, and so she thought she would, try it out and train for a half Ironman first. And so she did the half Ironman and she trained for it. She had really poor eating habits. And so she felt that because she was doing all of this incredible work and she was burning all these calories, that she could just eat whatever she wanted. And she would post pictures of her grocery cart with, Oreo cookies and chips and all of these like super processed, packed with sugar and all the bad fats that are really going to be harmful to your body over time. She had her grocery cart packed with that. And I remember having a conversation with her about it. And because back in that day, I was doing fitness competitions, and I was really following a strict meal program. And but I also knew when I ate more health consciously how my body felt and how I was able to really become stronger and feel better, and my digestion was so much better when I was eating cleaner versus how I felt on the days that I had a no strings attached meal or a high calorie day or a high calorie meal. And I know how sluggish I felt and how my energy felt depleted. And so we had a discussion about it, but she wasn't ready to make those changes for herself. And so she was fueling her body. Sorry, I have a hair hanging on my face here. But she was fueling it with the wrong food. But she felt super dedicated to the physical training format. And give me a thumbs up or a heart if you've been here and you've done this, and what I'm talking about is resonating with you. And so she did her half Ironman. She completed it. She wasn't super happy with her results, but she was so happy and proud of herself for doing it. And she committed at that point that she was going to train for a full Ironman. And so she decided, you know what, I really feel like I can do things differently and I can get more of the results that I want. And if I'm going to train, then if I'm going to put all this effort into the training, the physical training that's required, then I'm going to figure out what I can do to move my body in a much more further direction. So she hired a coach and she got super dialed in. She felt so much better and she felt so much stronger and she had way more energy. And honestly, I saw her attitude completely shift. She had a much more positive mindset, and she was much more accepting and compassionate, and was able to meet herself where she was. That was the one really big shift that I saw for Joanne during that time. So she went to Boulder and she completed her Ironman and she finished, and she was so happy with her results and so happy with how she felt during that Ironman competition for her. It wasn't that she got the best result. She wasn't in first place, but in her heart, she felt like she had won because of all of the effort that she had put into her training, but more so how her body and her mind felt during that time and then after. And I had never seen Joanne smile so much while she was in the actual competition. So I really felt that the fact that she had made that commitment and that she was doing everything in alignment with what she needed to be powerful and be committed to her goal in how she wanted to feel at the end of that Ironman. She did everything that she needed to do to be in alignment with what she wanted to feel. And so With all of that, 6 months later, Joanne was having some health issues, some headaches, and some lapses in memory, and some other things that came up for her. And she ended up going to the hospital and had an MRI done, and she ended up being diagnosed with terminal glioblastoma multiforme brain cancer. And the way that I saw Joanne cope with that diagnosis and actually become a person who lived larger than life in spite of her diagnosis is really what I found the most inspirational about my dear friend Joanne. And any of you who happen to know her know exactly what I'm talking about. And so I believe, and she has said, that the training that she did for Ironman and the completion of that goal and aligning herself with living her life in a way that created action towards what she wanted to feel and how she wanted to feel forever changed her mindset. And she was able to navigate then through that diagnosis and treatment with the same gumption and chutzpah as training for and participating in the actual Ironman. She was extremely goal-driven. She was very realistic about her condition and the fact that it was terminal and that she was not going to be cured. But she was never willing to give up on her goal of how she wanted to live her life. And so within that, she decided that she needed to live her life by her own rules. And that meant the passion of the sport of triathlon and running, training and competing. But she found a larger purpose, and she wanted to feel happy, and training is what made her happy. But her larger purpose was raising awareness for GBM. And eventually, that led to raising incredible amounts of money and aligning herself and networking. And through inspiring so many people, including people in the running community, they started matching her efforts to raise money for research and awareness. And that is really what fueled her to live a life aligned with how she wanted to feel. So in her diagnosis and in her treatments and everything else, she was able to find the best way for her to meet herself where she was. And that's really what I want for, and why I created this group, is so that we can all align together and be a part of this community to really truly understand how important it is to just meet yourself where you are and find compassion, so that you can truly be in a place of self-love and be able to allow that happiness to integrate into the depths of your soul, so that you have that to come home to all the time. And that's why I share these stories. That's why I come on here. It's why I post the things that I do. It's why I share the articles that I do, because raising awareness and creating opportunity and sharing your story is such an amazing way to feel incredible about your journey, but allow somebody else to feel like they're not alone. And that's really what brings us all together. And that is really the place where we're going to find inner peace and inner happiness. So in meeting herself where she was, even though some days were more frustrating than others, those days really fueled her, because it was another day that she was gifted a day to live. And she practiced gratitude for each day, and she found something greater than her own goal that would provide her more purpose. And in raising awareness and raising money for research was the larger purpose for her to get her to that place. So, as I said, the community really came together and pitched in. And when Joanne finally passed, she was able to raise over $85,000 for glioblastoma brain cancer research. And she leaves behind an amazing legacy and has inspired so many people, thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people. I was so fortunate to be one of those people and to be sharing her story here with you today. So to recap, using Joanne's beautiful life as an example, she determined how she wanted to feel. She wanted to feel happy. She wanted to feel fulfilled. She wanted to feel like she could find some self-love for herself. She wanted to feel healthy. She wanted to feel empowered. And that carried out for her throughout her diagnosis and her treatment, and all the way up to her passing when she left her body. She committed to an action that would take her there, and she fueled it by inspiring others, and in being inspired by other cancer patients and survivors that she met, and also being inspired by her friends and her family and the people who loved her. In sharing her story is how she continued to stay inspired, and she practiced daily gratitude. So, if you can live your life as though you are grateful for being able to be present in each and every day, and that every day is an opportunity to inspire someone else, and you determine how it is that you want to feel, and you take action to get yourself closer to how you want to feel, and you practice daily gratitude, you will cross through the gateway to inner happiness that is always yours and that you can never lose. So if this post, albeit very long, really inspired you and it touched you, and you feel like it is something that if you share it with somebody that you love or that you know will inspire them or motivate them or help them to feel like they are supported in a community, please feel free to share it. And more so than that, especially, even if you're watching this later, please post in the comments. Number 1, so if this is something that you want to use and you want to practice to get yourself to that space, comment below and share with us. Number 1, how do you want to feel? What is it that you aspire to feel? And then number 2, what action you will commit to and take, and how you will be inspired by that and how you will inspire others. And number 3, share something that you're grateful for today. So you can either share one of those, or you can share 2, or you can share all 3. But being a part of community, the best part of that is that when you state it, you're accountable to it. And so if this is something you really want to do for yourself, then state it out loud and allow us all to be here to hold space for you and support you in those action steps. And if you need any extra support, always and forever, anytime that you're a part of this group, or even if you ever choose not to be a part of the group, if you ever need extra support, you can always reach out by contacting me on www.healthieryou-fearlesspursuitcoaching.com, and I will post that link in the comment section below. And you can also follow me on Instagram at Genevieve RT, GeneVievert. I'm on Instagram as that, and I post things on there all the time that sometimes are different than my posts on here. They're always inspirational and motivational, and with the primary goal of spreading self-love and compassion for all people. And you can always reach out in any way in the comments below. You can send me a private message Anyway, I'm always here. I'm here to support you. I'm here to hold space for you. And if you feel like you need more support than what you're receiving in this Facebook group, you can always reach out for me and reach out to me for that. I am a health coach. There's many things that I do, and if you want to have a conversation about that, I am here to hold that space for you. So I hope that this video inspires you. I truly have gotten myself to a place, and it meant leaving my community, of being in touch with true inner happiness that I know is always there for me, and it's not an external thing. It's one of the biggest shifts that have ever happened in my life to allow me to get to the place where I am, and I wish that shift for all of you. So in keeping with that, I hope you have an amazing, wonderful day. I wish you all inner happiness that never leaves you, and that you can all pass through the gateway to find it. Have an amazing day, and we'll talk to you super soon. Take care.